Be advised, mature content ahead. This podcast is brought to you ad-free thanks to the Legion of Demons at patreon.com/NOTLP. If you like what you hear, there's much more at patreon.com/NOTLP. Join the Legion. That's patreon.com/NOTLP. And now the show.
How do you do? Just a word of friendly warning. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now is your chance to, well, we've warned you.
Ooh, welcome to Night of the Living Podcast. Kelley's queued up some wonderful things from the Monarch Corporation.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Yep.
From the Monarch what?
I said the Monarch Corporation. They're not a corporation. They're a government agency.
Yeah, they're taxpayer money.
Yeah.
We'll be talking
Your
about
tax is hard at work.
King of the Monsters, main attraction. I got the roulette this week called Re/Member, which was confusing to me when I went to look it up to watch it.
Re/Member.
He couldn't handle it.
I was looking for the word slash. I didn't realize it was just the symbol, like the backslash.
Oh.
They're getting fancy out here with these titles.
Yeah.
No offense, Freddie, but no.
Well, it's a stupid title. Let's be fair.
No, did you actually think the movie was called Re/Member?
I did.
He did.
Well,
I will give Freddie this.
Yeah.
The idea of a title that's and then this.
Yeah.
And then member. Remember is already just one word.
They should just call it remember. Yeah.
Isn't actually a word in that.
Right.
So I can see, and it's a horror movie, so I could see you thinking, oh, slash.
Like slash. Yeah.
Slash.
Yeah.
Like the
Remember.
guitar player.
No, but like I think the movie titles are getting very gimmicky with their titles now.
Yeah.
I blame T2 started all this.
You know what happened? I don't
So
know.
T:2.
There used to be a time when you were saving a file in a Word or an Excel or any Microsoft product, and you wanted to use an ampersand in your file name. You couldn't do it. But now you can. And so really they opened the floodgates, and I totally nailed it. No, you can't do slashes. You're right.
Yeah.
So how long did it take before you finally found the movie?
I had to come to Amy. I was like, Amy.
Ask me.
I was like, the movie's called slash what now? The word slash is what stood out to me in the title when she originally told it to me. That's what I had written down was /member.
Did you pull up some porn by accident? Slashes.
I didn't get anything.
You put up his member.
They were like, "That's not a word, dog." Is what this little clippy came up, but it was Randy Jackson's face from American Idol, and he was like, "That's not a word, dog." And I'm like, "This is what you do now?" He's like, "Yeah, man, it's what I do now."
He hangs out with Mr. DNA.
Yeah, I opened the Safari app on my phone earlier to check something. And it had the last page in the last Google search I had done last night on it. And it was testicle tattoos.
Oh, because what were we watching?
We were watching something, and I wondered if you could have your testicles tattooed.
Somebody said,
Yeah, I think you can have anything tattooed.
Yeah.
I assume you had to stretch the skin really, like put the ball in a fist and
you could do like
stretch it out.
magazine like fold
No, you just
in.
pull it out like a sheet.
It's the only part of your body
Clip
you could probably
it.
do that on.
No, I was thinking you just put the ball between like this.
Andy's
Make the OK symbol.
And he's making the white power symbol.
Yeah.
And then
and then put the ball through there, and then it stretches out.
Well, that'd be very small. Be for a small tattoo. If you're doing like a big,
Like a child's balls.
full sack.
if you're tattooing a child's testicles, it's a whole different
You got to get
convention
parents'
wisdom.
permission, though. They got to sign off on that.
That's true.
Don't just do that willy-nilly.
That's what it's called, is getting a willy-nilly. So we're doing big monster movies. And
Big monsters.
Patreon.com.
Yeah, boy.
We just had a fun F, Marry, Kill that Andy hosted.
Topicana was Fuck, Marry, Kill, and Andy gave us quite the interesting.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's interesting that Freddie couldn't bring himself to say fuck.
I was trying to keep it clean because we were just.
That's what this show is about. We strive for it.
Yep. Child's testicle
Oy
tattoos.
vey.
I didn't want the F word to be in the same segment as the mention of the little kid tattoos.
What was interesting, we just did Origins, and it was from late May 2011. And at the end of the episode, I was listening to it today, so I could recap it at the beginning. It was the origination, the birth of us wanting Lewis to come on and host a month with us.
Yeah.
For Hispanic Heritage Month.
It was birthed.
It was birthed.
That's cool, isn't it? In Origins.
I love finding these little historical moments in my life.
Yeah, these are older episodes that if you're a patron, patreon.com/NOTLP, that's how we pay for everything here.
We 12 years later come back to these old episodes and go, holy shit.
Yes.
What monsters we were.
We were bad people. No, but we just refined. We look at how unrefined we were.
I like to think that we're Mothras, right? We're like, we're kind, we're good, we're benevolent, but we're going to like knock over a building or two.
On the way there.
Yeah.
Right.
It's going to happen.
But we mean no harm.
We mean no real harm.
No harm was meant. Yeah. Anything else for the tippy top?
Freddie and I saw the Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Oh, how was it?
It's fun.
It was cute.
Yeah, I mean, it's
all right.
It's yeah, it's a good theater movie because it has a lot of big effects in it and some unexpected monsters in there. Some
it
cool
wouldn't have.
Easter
I don't think it would
eggs.
ruin it too much to see it at home.
No, if you have you want to watch it on a
but you
big
won't
screen
get thanked for being a fucking hero.
for going to the movies.
I'm getting tired of being thanked for being a hero. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't need the cast of every movie to go, oh, thank God that you left your house and came here and overpaid for popcorn.
They need to do it.
And you sat right here. You're like a first responder if you think about it. That's what they tell you.
Yeah.
So we should have people clapping for us while we go in the theater. Like, yay.
Can this be free then?
Remember during the pandemic, we clapped for the, everybody clapped for the first responders when they went to work.
You want to know? We sat through 30
They should do that for movie theaters. Huh?
30 minutes of material prior to the movie.
And they're like, thank you for sitting there and putting your eyeballs on these ads for things.
So many ads. So much Maria Menounos.
Oh, yeah.
Did you get the quizzes right?
Movie.
Didn't even have quizzes
No,
on this
there were
one,
no
did
quizzes.
they?
No.
No quizzes.
Yeah, I'm over it. If I choose to go to a theater, if I choose to not go to a theater, if I choose to do anything, I'm not a hero for spending my time and money on something I wanted to do.
Oh, but it's nice to see they're being kind of gracious and encouraging. I get why they're doing it. They need
You send Chris Pine to my house and tell me
but
I'm a hero then.
They need to create this sense of what is at stake if the theaters close, and I think the people who make movies really get that they have to at least have a hearts and minds campaign like you do in wartime that will get people to even think about going to it, because going to a movie theater for me is a chore now. It's like I'm like,
yes, agreed.
Yeah, it's like I gotta go and deal with everything.
There was
get
something
there.
all over the back of your shirt too.
The seat was dirty.
When he got up and we
Yeah.
left, I looked at him and I'm like, what is
Something
that?
transferred to me. I was never the
You know
same.
what I think it is? It's the peeling vinyl from the seat.
Could be. They don't treat them.
That's what it was. It's fine.
Speaking of movies, this week's meetup.
I don't know what to do.
We do a weekly Patreon meetup on Thursdays, but this week's will be postponed. We'll just reconvene next week because we're going to go see Evil Dead Rise on Thursday night.
Yeah. Remember how you guys were complaining about going to the movies?
Yeah.
We're going to go again.
This is
You're going to go again?
This is on the other side of town.
I'm very excited for this.
This is ridiculous, but I want to go see this. So
Yeah, it's more about seeing our friend Brandon than actually
That's
going to
true.
the movie.
I want to see Brandon, but I like the idea
No, I want to see the movie. Brandon's fine.
of hopefully there being like a really enthusiastic opening night audience. This is the kind of movie I do want to see. I miss watching other people get scared. You know what I mean?
What do you think is there a difference between a Thursday night opening night audience or a Friday night
I have no idea.
I think they're going to be respectful. They're going to
The Thursday night.
Yes, because they want to see it, and they're going to react at the right moments and not just act up at all times during the movie.
Yeah.
Thursday night's all right for being respectful. Yeah. It's like when we saw Mathregan, and
oh yeah,
people were just acting up through the whole movie, and we had to yell at them. And I don't mind that, but it has to be appropriate times.
Was it Mathregan that I was chased that child out of the theater?
Yes.
Okay, that's right. Because I was going to yell at him. Yeah, I don't know. I don't care.
Okay.
It will be fun.
It's going to be fun.
I just want to see the movie because I'm getting hyped about it.
I love The Evil Dead. I never get
Early
sick of
reviews
it.
are good.
I loved Ash vs. Evil Dead. I loved the remake. There's not been an Evil Dead associated thing. I haven't seen the musical, but I hear the game's a lot of fun. But like, I just love it. It's a great property. Yeah. And I think that the people involved, a lot of the original people, and I've heard good things already from the people who saw it as the special horror screening. So I'm pretty pumped.
Yeah, that's
pretty
like
pumped.
I need to do a rewatch of the Evil Dead movies because I haven't seen them in about 20 years. So, and I was never, I like them well enough, but I need to revisit them. Is that blasphemy to say that I just like them?
No, I have a deep connection because it's a childhood thing for me, and I can't extricate that from everything else. It's in there with Masters of the Universe and everything else that I love, regardless of what it is. You know, it just so happens that I still happen to love everything that's come out of it.
I think I was too scared. It scared me so much as a child that I never revisited it. Really.
Yeah, it's super scary.
So
the first one, especially.
Yeah. I probably saw it. It was on cable a lot, and I could never finish it because it was too scary.
It is scary. I watched the first one for the first time with my brother when I was, I think, about 13, and it's still scary. When we saw it at the drive-in, it still scared me. 2 is scary. They're all good. I agree with you. I like everything I think that I've seen from that.
They all have an identity too. No 2 are alike, really.
Yeah.
Even
I like
2 and 1, which is basically the same story, but it's a totally different kind of movie, really.
It's a remake. I feel like actually that's what's going on with The Last Shift right now, and I haven't seen anyone comparing this to the Evil Dead 1/2, where 1 was just where 2 is an expansion with a slightly bigger budget for Evil Dead, and I think this is the same, but no one said that. So I'm the first person
to compare it
period.
to Malum.
Malum, yeah, it hasn't. Our theater didn't carry Malum. The only way we could see it was going to the Esquire. It was like 1 showtime. So
and you want to talk about uncomfortable seating?
Yeah,
I'm not going to the Esquire to watch a horror movie. I'll watch that on my TV, which is a bigger screen than the screen.
Yeah, the Esquire's like watching a movie on an airplane.
It's our little art house theater. That's sort of tiny and old.
But I am excited for that. I really love Last Shift. I've
did
heard
too.
Mixed things.
Yeah.
But I love Cheney Morrow. Andy and I know.
We went to dinner with him.
Yeah, we had burgers together and beers. He's a really
I do
good
feel
guy.
like I'm interested because Last Shift was to me, that was a really good, hot, dirty little horror movie that actually packed in a lot of story in a small amount of time. It was real scary. And sometimes when they want to expand on stuff, now we'll see. I'm not judging this. I'm excited for it. I really like that movie a lot. So I'm hoping good things for it.
Yeah, me too. Me too, baby. Me too. You guys ready for roulette?
Yeah, but also I'm super psyched for the Super Mario Brothers movie, which I haven't watched yet.
I am too.
You guys go.
Really?
And see
You
it
want to
together?
go see Super Mario Brothers? I'll come pick you up.
Maybe, or we might because we can all go.
I'll go.
Maybe you're not interested in the Super Mario
A
Brothers?
little bit.
I'm going to bring my Switch and play during the movie
Do you like playing Super Mario
to
games?
really drive home the experience.
Well, of course I like playing Super Mario games, but it's a different thing you're asking from me.
She's a hardcore.
But I love the voice actors.
Leguizamo
Well, I just-
Luigi fan.
I mean,
The whole
you know, I guess
the
I'm
whole
not allowed to
reason
love Chris Pratt, but
why would he do?
Kelley, I don't have time. And I think the internet is like
It's overblown.
they're like
the reasons to hate
60%
Chris
right,
Pratt.
40 wrong.
Yeah.
He's fine. He didn't do anything like horrible.
It's just his religion, who he's associated with. The internet turned on him
and other
hard.
dumb things.
Oh, there's other stuff.
Other dumb things.
Oh.
Well, anyway, I don't care. And also, I only want to see it because this one looks like you're in the game. It looks like all the games.
Yeah.
I love Mario games.
Is it 3D anywhere?
Uh-huh.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
But anyway, one last bit of housekeeping.
Yeah.
Now, list patrons who are waiting on merch, because I told you I designed new merch, and I did.
He did.
I uploaded it. And it was in January, and there's some weird thing where it's like 3 months, so I'm trying to wait till May to go back and check again. But if by May they're still like, nobody deserves any of these things, then I'm going to continue to get back with them. They are very hard to get a hold of.
So we're taking care of it, patrons. We're working
but
on
it's meant to be there, and it's happening.
Their policy is vague on how they fulfill the merchandise.
It is very vague.
So we're just
and possibly it changes.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out what the most current policy is and how and when those things come and if any action is needed in addition to what we've already done. So
patreon.com/NOTLP, at the very least, you get some extra content every week.
Yeah.
And isn't that
the Discord server, the meetups, although like I said, we'll be at Evil Dead this week, but really fun. Amy's coughing. I'm going to go ahead and play the roulette while she does that. We'll be right back.
Hello, boys and girls. It's time for straight-to-video Russian roulette.
Onegai. Watashi no karada.
Allow me to translate this movie that I watched. That's the Japanese trailer. I don't know if there's an English language trailer. Re/member, as we established, I was a little confused by the title, but Re/member. I am gonna spoil this somewhat.
Do you recommend it or not?
I don't think I recommend this unless you are really into like point and click horror games, because it's like the movie
like Diablo.
No, more like Fatal Frame or haunted house video games, like the kind. The reason I say this is okay. The movie opens. This 8-year-old girl is killed by an axe murderer and chopped up to pieces, and the rest of the movie are these high school students. Who are having a Happy Death Day type of phenomena happen to them, where they go into this dream of the same day, where they have to find her body parts and reassemble the body in this casket that has like this sunken outline of her in it in the school's church chapel area. And it's almost like trying to do like a Breakfast Clubby thing, where the main character is this lonely girl who doesn't really have any friends. And she goes to this.
I'm a lonely girl. Anyway, sorry.
Or New York lonely boy. She doesn't really have any friends, and she goes to this Catholic school, and her mother makes her these really elaborate lunches, which I was a little jealous of. Honestly, fried shrimp and enough for your friends.
What?
She doesn't have any friends though. So she walks to school, and she sees certain things happen on, the next day, just like in all these Groundhog Day style movies, where she knows this is going to happen or that's going to happen, right? That sort of thing, because that does like suck the air out consequence wise when characters will die and then immediately wake up and they get another shot at it. So that kind of, in a way, that kind of hurt the tension in the beginning of the first couple of acts, because nothing felt like it had any real consequence. And they try to temper that by having this Breakfast Club B story where it's them becoming friends because they are the 6 people who are happening to have this same dream every night, where they're realize they've been called to do what they call I think they called it a body search or something. Which apparently is something that happened to other generations of people at this school, where they've had to go find body parts.
What?
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's why it feels like a video game. It doesn't feel like
it's very convoluted.
Yeah, it's super convoluted, but it's about her coming out of her shell and making friends with these people. But then it has like a Stephen King's It kind of angle too. Where
is this a common thing in that area to have little girls just dismembered and
what area? You mean Japan?
That area that this because you said it's a generational thing.
Yeah. Well, apparently, yeah.
People constantly have to find body parts.
Because there's a teacher that also went through it. There's this thing. That's what I'm saying about spoiling it. Because I wanted to talk about all these elements and the reason why it just feels like just a bowl full of like nuts and washers and bolts and nails that are bent and everything else. It doesn't ever really come together. But it has these great moments in it. Like there's this doll creature that the little girl carries with her that turns into this big monster at one point in the movie. And the creature design is really fun. And it raises the stakes because it makes things more permanent, where they don't get a fresh reset necessarily. And this is where the Stephen King's It kind of angle comes in, where they actually start to forget, like if this monster eats them in the dream, that everyone forgets they ever existed. Which had they established that in the beginning, I would have been so much more into the whole movie, but they didn't do that until the third act to raise the stakes there. And the rest of it's them playing on the beach there's montages of like pop music, and it has like that whole teen drama angle too on top of it to kind of make you care more about what's happening. But it's so weird that it never connects really. But like I said, if you're really into those types of video games that sound like this, because there's like a whole bunch of Japanese video games that kind of have the same vibe. If you're into that very specific like sub-genre, I think you might like the movie.
So what was the spoiler that you're going to say?
Everything I said was basically a spoiler.
Oh, was it? I mean, it seems...
I don't feel like I really know what's going on.
No, that's the point.
So that's good.
That's what I said was like, I'm spoiling it, but I have to spoil it to point out the problem with the movie. To really explain why I don't recommend it is that it's so disjointed. Even though it does have a beginning, middle, and end. It has a character arc for your main character and everything. It's so fantastical, the stuff that happens in it, that I could never find a foothold to really care too terribly much, because it was also... everything about the monster and stuff.
I walked through the room when you were like in the beginning.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's pretty good so far. I'm enjoying it.
It hooked me in the beginning. It really did. Because I'm like, I was like, they got to find her body parts. Okay. It's kind of it's like the judge from Buffy. But, and then it just kind of became this nothing. It's a nothing burger.
It's a real nothing burger.
No,
sadly. And they set up a sequel in the post-credit, and it was lazy because it was just like the headline that shows like girl dismembered or missing or whatever, and then it just changes to another little girl, and they change the location to an amusement park from like this house, and then they change her photo, and then that's it. And you're like, probably
not gonna be a sequel. Why was it called Re/Member? Because they have to remember her. She's been dismembered. Now they have to remember her.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
God, that's dumb.
Yeah, that's why.
Well, it was probably an English translation, and they did the best they could.
The dub was kind of silly in parts. I almost turned on the Japanese with subtitles just to see if it helped, but when I was done with it, I read some reviews, and other people who watched that version of it had the same things to say. So I was like, it wasn't like an issue with that. But not terrible. I'd give it like a 5 out of 10.
Completely neutral.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
It was the same as sitting there.
I neither agree nor disagree.
I really enjoyed the monster. The look of the monster, and there were a couple moments where the monster made me laugh because it has these little squat legs. And it's like this very top-heavy, long-haired ragdoll kind of thing which can be very scary. There are moments where it's like, ooh, that's a great look. The silhouette of that thing is very creepy. But then there's other moments where it's just kind of like flopping along and it looks like Snuffleupagus.
So who's killing these people over and over again?
The little girl.
Oh, the little girl.
They
Okay.
call her the red. They call her the red person because she's covered in blood and she doesn't have any eyes. She's like, no eyes.
Wait, who's the little girl who's trying to solve the mystery?
The little girl who was dismembered in the dream world is this blood-soaked apparition with no eyes. That is what's killing them.
So does every time a little girl is dismembered, first they have to be dismembered and then they become the monster with the monster?
I think so. Yeah, I think what happens is when a little girl in this universe, when a little girl is dismembered,
clear as mud,
that they become this Freddy Krueger type character.
Okay.
If that helps clear anything up.
Who's dismembering these girls?
They never said who was the perpetrator. Like I thought
that's not important at all.
I thought it was like a family member is the vibe I got. In the beginning, it almost felt like, I thought I was going to get like a J-horror kind of thing where this murder happens and then all these eerie things are coming down the pipeline. This ghost needs to be avenged or whatever. But then it became like once the first montage came in with like the pop music and them playing on the beach and stuff, I was like, this is not that. This is something else.
I got to say, and I know I've been a lot nicer to things lately, but I'm smoking significantly less weed now. And I feel like a little bit of my old self is coming back because this feels to me like a movie that was made and written by people who like a lot of movies and they see the elements. And so they throw the elements together, but don't really understand how to why you would have connections. It sounds like they just threw elements in because they're like, these are elements for movies.
It feels like teenagers made it.
Yeah.
It really did.
How are the kills? Because I know in Japanese movies, kills tend to be very cool and gory.
I like the kills. People were like cut in half and
delightful.
Like tongues were torn out and there was a lot of gore. It was all kind of silly and there were really no consequences, like I said. So like when they died, you're like, whoop, there they go.
But that was part of the fun. I think but that's part of the fun to see them being killed over and over again to see what happens to them next. I mean, I like that in Happy Death Day because it's like, ooh, how is she going to die this time?
The problem is instead of spending time doing that funny bit where you get the montage of somebody dying over and over again, where they are literally getting bored with dying, you get montage of the friendship building between them, which normally would be a good thing because you're building character, but they're doing it through like montage. And it doesn't really build character. It just shows that they're having fun. So that was.
It sounds like it was made by AI.
It felt a little bit like that. Yeah,
could be.
It really did.
ChatGPT wrote this movie.
Chad GBT.
Chad GBT.
GBT. Chad DMT. That's the name of that AI bot. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. The movie for next week. Shall be from Shudder. It's called Kids vs. Aliens.
Aww.
An all-time rager of a teen house party turns to terror when aliens attack, forcing two warring siblings to band together to survive the night.
All right. Let's see who's going to watch this. This one
sounds all right.
Sounds like fun.
It's the guy who did Hobo with a shotgun.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I didn't like that movie at all.
Ooh, right on the line, and it's me. It was almost you, Kelley.
It was almost
me.
But it's me. Kids versus aliens.
Kids versus aliens. Babies having
Kids versus aliens.
And kids versus...
All right, we'll be right back with the main attraction.
Okay.
What we are witnessing here is the return of Titans.
How many of these things are there?
17 and counting.
That's messed up.
Mothra, Rodan, Ghidorah.
Oh my. They're moving like a pack. They're hunting. They all respond directly to an alpha. We stop this Ghidorah. We stop them all.
Is there another creature that might stand a chance against him?
perish. And so will we. Unless we set Godzilla free.
Oh, yeah, sure. Let's bring him in for a beer. No, this time we join the fight.
Run.
This is Godzilla's world. We just live in it.
Damn right.
Be a good bumper sticker.
I should definitely get it.
You should. If it doesn't exist, you should have one made. So
I should.
Kelley, Godzilla King of the Monsters.
Oh my God. As I watched, I remembered these movies bring me so much joy. I can't get enough. And I do get this weird thing. I feel like a fan without a country because I'm a hardcore Godzilla fan. And I feel like no Godzilla fans like these movies. And then I feel like other people don't like these movies. And I'm not sure why. And I think the purists, I don't know. I can't talk about them. I don't know what they want. But I feel like people are like, I love Godzilla, but I hate these movies. You don't love Godzilla. You don't love Godzilla. Because this, I bet our friend Troy from Not a Bomb, I bet he hates this. I can't remember if we talked about it. And Troy, if you listen to this and I'm lying or I'm getting
he's
this
calling you out, Troy. He says
I'm not calling him out.
He says you don't really like these movies.
I don't mean, all right.
You're gatekeeping at this point, Kelley.
I'm not gatekeeping. What I'm saying, I'm trying to open it up. What I'm saying.
Oh, you're trying to open the gates up instead of closing them.
Because this is, if you don't like this, I challenge you, and you're like, this is stupid, and the people are all so stupid and boring. I challenge you to go back and watch Godzilla versus Monster Zero or Destroy All Monsters, which a lot of this is almost exactly. And then come back and say, yeah, see, that's what I liked. And this movie fucked that up somehow because it's the same. It's the same. The people are always goofy and boring and silly. Like we get Kong Skull Island. Now that went a different direction. That's Kong.
Yeah.
That's Kong. And Kong is an American creature. I mean, not in the movie, but that is an American property and it's treated differently.
Yeah.
Even in the Monarch universe. So that did have the humans in that movie I thought were great. And they were like real characters and real people. And then in this one, and they make attempts, but it's all very cartoony. Like they're
anytime
characters.
The movie stops to give us a lot of people time, it made a big mistake.
Yeah,
and that's what I feel like everyone says. But again, they all do that,
and that's fine. But I was getting mad at this movie. I was like, "Stop it! You're ruining the flow. Just straight to the monster, straight to the monster, straight to the monster." If I swear to God, if I have to look at crying Millie Bobby Brown one more time,
there were too many interested parties on the human side of things for me to. And it's funny because I can't remember, Kelley, when we saw this in the theater, we saw this together in the theater.
This was not the one we saw. We saw Kong versus Godzilla. Yeah, we remember because Andy made the flags for us.
Yeah, I saw this with Kelley and Alise.
But yeah, Andy, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was trying to remember how I felt about this in the theater. And I was like, I thought I really liked this movie.
I think I figured out why I like this in the theater so much because it's on a big, giant scale, and it makes up for the shortcomings because you're so blown away. I was so blown away by seeing all these giant monsters destroying stuff on a giant screen.
I still enjoyed that. That's still good. And the second half has a lot more than that. But
it didn't make up for the dirge of the human beings and everything around it.
It could have been 20, 30 minutes of the human storyline.
Yeah, when I'm watching it at home, I can pull out the threads a little more and break it down, where I'm in the theater, I'm in a captive audience, and I'm okay with the spectacle makes up for it.
I was saying,
I get you.
Kelley,
at home.
You remember Planet of the Apes, where the one, I think it's called Beneath the Planet of the Apes, where they're worshiping the bomb?
Mm-hmm.
I realized, because we saw, Andy and I went to a panel at WonderCon, and we saw Mike Dougherty and I can't remember the other fellow's name talk about
Dougherty,
this.
Dougherty.
It's Dougherty.
And
Mike Dougherty's from that band.
Dougherty's Soul Cafe.
So he was talking about, they're like, these are gods. The idea now is that these are gods. It's plain and simple. Humans, are completely inconsequential. The only thing that matters are these titans. And they have all the power. They're coming back to reclaim what's theirs. And we're ants. And I'm like, I love that idea. I wanted like Vera Farmiga's character, and
I think she was miscast.
Lannister would have been great if they were in an actual like fucking cult or something, instead of them being like scientists or something.
Now, I will say this. I will agree. I said this when we were watching it, and when you realize the twist ish. I'll tell you now. Like I said, this isn't a perfect movie, and
the monster shit was.
The monster shit absolutely was, and we'll get to that. But I like what they were kind of trying to do with the little twist of her being the one that releases everything. And I said to Alise when we were watching this, I wish they'd actually pushed it. Basically what you said. I said, I wish they would have pushed it further, where she was completely mad and was worshiping just like you said. Now, I would still been okay with Jonathan Pryce or whoever that was. That's Jonathan Pryce, right?
No,
Tywin Lannister.
The Lannister. It's I'll look his name up.
Guy's name? Charles Dance.
Are you sure it's not John?
Charles Dance. Thank you.
Amy. Oh, it's Charles Dance, right? Yeah. I get them mixed up. Anyway, they're both often British bad guys. So I still would have been cool with him being like sort of the profiteering eco warrior on top, and her being like this crazy zealot. I do wish they'd push that, because it just sort of really weakened what she did, because they don't want to make her a villain.
Right.
Make her a villain.
They didn't. Yeah.
Make her a complex villain.
They made
but
her
make her a villain.
In their effort to like keep you, interested enough so that you can like her again. They just water it down to where I didn't even understand what was happening at first.
Because really, honestly, you shouldn't. You shouldn't get. She should not get any redemption, because she lets a shit ton of. She betrays a bunch of her team members and lets them get knowingly that they're going to be killed. She is a bad guy.
She's fully unredeemable in my eyes.
I will agree. I didn't like that. But again, the human shit is always stupid. And so, it is.
I agree. It is stupid, but there was a lot of it. That was a problem.
There always is.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I'm just great to see something though where you go to a Godzilla movie and you're like, oh my God, they're dressed in fucking Godzilla robes and they're worshiping a statue of Godzilla.
Well, and there's going to be I read an article that says there is going to be one more. Kong versus Godzilla was slated to be the last, but then there was an update to an article about that says they are planning a sequel to that.
It deserves more time.
I would love to see. I always want more, and I love this Godzilla. I love this Godzilla world because, again, it really, to me. Now, again, maybe Godzilla purists out there are going to argue with me. I hope you try to. I do, because you're not going to butch me. I mean, I haven't watched any of the latter day Toho stuff aside from what was released in America's Godzilla 1985. Awesome Godzilla movie, by the way. Makes Godzilla very scary. But I watched everything from Godzilla 1954 through like Godzilla versus the Smog Monster, which took place in Lake Michigan. And so these movies feel like those movies. And as a kid, I was always annoyed with the humans, but I suffered through them.
Right.
Because I love the monsters. Now, if you don't love the monsters enough to suffer through the people, well, okay.
I do.
You're like, you didn't earn the monsters.
This movie was close to getting me to not like. I think the balance of this movie, it was so close to not being enough action to overcome. But I think the balance of the series means I would always watch it.
Yeah, I get that. And I think like the fact that they're gods and that I love
Zilla.
Everybody at the Senate laughing at Serizawa when he said we'd be their pets. They're like, ha, 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 ha. Oh, you silly man. And I love the idea that they think, I mean, now maybe if they caught one of the Titans sleeping or something, I don't know. I doubt it. I doubt they could kill any of them. But they can't kill them. Human beings can't kill Godzilla. Like they can't, no matter what they do. You can't kill Godzilla. A Titan can kill Godzilla, but you can't kill Godzilla.
Andy,
America.
You made a really good point.
America.
About, I think it was you, Andy. Didn't you say that the device that Vera Farmiga?
Oh, yeah. I was saying, yes, they said, I like how they set up that these Titans are gods and they're indestructible and we're inconsequential and why even try? So I feel like they kind of neutered their own point by having them so easily controlled by this one little box.
Well, they're not controlled. They respond to it and follow it, but they're not really controlled by it.
I'm not controlled, but like just so easily manipulated by it, I guess. And
sure. Well, ultimately, they are still animals.
Yeah, but like there are so many times where a Titan's about to kill the main characters or any characters, and then somebody turns on the machine, and then they just leave those characters that they're about to kill and go chase the box. If they were so,
chase the box.
Say why?
Oh, we get you in trouble, man.
Yeah, they could have killed the characters right away, and chase the box right after.
Sure,
there was just too many last minute. Like Kelley was saying, is like the whole movie is Deus Ex Machinas, like constantly, and it is kind of repetitive.
Well, for sure, and yeah, that device, I think, is an homage to one of the movies where the little kid has a thing that he can talk to the monsters on, and then all this, and this is where I'm just like Easter eggs and homages, which are great. Like the oxygen thing that sucks all the oxygen out of the water. That's the way they killed Godzilla in the original Godzilla in 1954. They developed a device that would suck all the oxygen out of the water. And the scientist who is studying Godzilla goes down and detonates it and dies with Godzilla, much like in this. So it really, whoever wrote these, if Mike Doherty wrote this one, they love God. Like they know, or they've had a PA create an outline or a little Bible of Godzilla Easter eggs that they could throw in there.
The twins.
Because
or like a PowerPoint presentation.
PowerPoint.
Like Vera Farmiga constantly had
a fucking PowerPoint ready to go.
The PowerPoint. There were so many moments that
she's like, I'm going to surprise all of you scientists and Monarch and army people, and I'm going to surprise you with my villain speech. But little do you know, in the middle of it, I got fucking audio visuals.
And it was super like patronizing them. She's like, global warming has damaged our planet. Here's proof.
Then it's a desert.
Well, and of course, I mean, because they have to make these messages as like for some reason, and again, somehow Kong Skull Island didn't talk down and decided to try and do something with the humans. And I will say, I will totally admit that about both Godzilla 2014, slightly less silly human beings. I would say a lot less silly Godzilla 2014.
Okay, I think that's what, because the characters in Kong Skull Island, they were more fun and joyful. Whereas every character in this movie had a tragic backstory, and just weighed down by their past.
Well, it does feel,
and everybody talked like this. It was all to lend some gravitas to their story. It's like, I don't care about your story. I don't care what happened to you.
I agree.
Given some pretty bad lines.
I love him though.
I do love him though. I chuckled every time. But again, I agree. Like, I feel like for the people, whoever they had like kind of touch up those scenes, they were like, it's just like Hollywood bullshit 101. Like, you know what I mean? They were like, we don't need them to be too deep. Just don't complicate things because it doesn't make any sense. So just make them all grimace and like say global warming. And so I completely agree.
Crank up that blue filter. That was the other thing they were told to do.
But King Ghidorah coming up through the ice and slithering his heads across the fucking ice, making the Ghidorah sounds. All the monsters make the sounds from the original movies. It warms the child in my heart that sat in front of the TV with his Godzilla toy like a teddy bear watching these, like to hear the Ghidorah sound, to hear Mothra and Rodan, who is my second favorite to Godzilla. So badass. And the design, again, I feel like they really honored. Now, again, there are probably purists who'd like to punch me in the face for saying they honored the original designs. I'll punch you right back because just dead straight on.
I love the police report for that.
They honor those designs completely. I think they look so good, and they really capture those creatures. Like they take them and they take those old rubber suits that you love, and that's what people are going to say. I love the old rubber suits. That's fine. But they take those and they give you what you wanted as a kid. At least what I like. This is how I imagined what people consider the fakey looking rubber suits. Like this is what those look like to me as a little kid.
I love the design of Godzilla because he was so fat and chubby.
Oh yeah, but also like badass.
Yeah, he was, but like his fat little hands, his fat little arms.
Oh yeah,
it was adorable.
Alise loved his
adorable.
Fat baby thighs. Yeah.
He has a charm in the dad bod.
Yeah, but it just, like you said, it reminded me of those like foam suits because they were like a little fat.
Yeah, and that's they were honoring that, and it's so badass when he just fucking stomps across. He's like, "I'm gonna fuck you up, King Ghidorah. King Godzilla's here," and it's like, I
love the lightning bolts that come off of Ghidorah. Like, sequence. That's my favorite. I think my favorite scene in the movie, and it's shamelessly over the top. I love that.
Godzilla was chewing on the last of that one head, and it was still moving and alive in his mouth. It's very funny. I wish they'd
very Godzilla.
If they're gods, I come from I enjoy the Greek and Roman gods who like had a life.
Oh, they're not that kind of gods.
They're not that kind of guys. They don't have.
They're not like magical gods. They're animal, but they're so powerful and indestructible that to humans they are like gods. But they're not like literal. They're not like real gods. We create things.
I just want to give them a rich inner life. They deserve that.
Well, they probably do. I mean, but you also, and again, I'm probably giving more credit, but to me in this universe, they're very intelligent. You know what I mean? They do have some kind of inner life. They're not just like they don't. When I say they're animals, they're not animals like a deer. You know what I mean? Like they highly intelligent, I'm sure, things but so outside of our understanding.
Do you think ants have the same conversation about us? Like I
think they're constantly watching. Yeah, I don't.
And we're such mysteries to them because they're so teeny and tiny.
Remember the cartoon, the little Godzilla cartoon?
Yeah, Godzuki with a little baby Godzilla.
Oh,
did they?
I just love that name.
Did you get like a little more? I can't remember. I remember I've seen it, but I can't remember. Do you get like a little more? You know, in cartoons they tend to give you a little more as far as the personalities of the monsters.
No, I don't think so. Usually they like the people would run. It was sort of like Super Friends or Scooby-Doo, where you had a boat. You had the scientists, the people on the boat, and they would go around and they would meet like bad guys or monsters, and they had Godzuki, which is the little baby Godzilla, and then they would push on the device when they got in trouble. Godzilla would come up out of the water, he would make a sound, he'd smash whatever was happening, and then he kind of went back into the water.
Okay, good to know.
The story doesn't matter. It's just about the sequences that are the action sequences, and the
as always.
Oh, I had a point. It went away.
I'm sorry.
Oh no!
You had too much of the devil's tobacco.
No, I think I'm just stupid.
You're not stupid.
I was hoping it would come back if I just started talking. Oh, radiation.
Yeah. Well, if you stood next to one of these things, you would die of radiation poisoning instantly.
I feel like there's so many moments where, like, you know, in the end, the destruction of Boston.
Yeah.
And they're like, Godzilla's going to blow any minute. he's gonna blow any minute. He's gonna blow. And then Kyle Chandler, which good looking man. Just a good looking man.
He's a handsome Hollywood looking actor.
him and his crew and his daughter and wife, they're all standing there about a block away for when he goes supernova. They're all dead, right? Like soon.
Yeah, they should have melted right away.
Yes, and there's dust and debris in the air and a big shockwave, and just Millie Bobby Brown is standing in the midst of this digitally created shockwave with her mouth wide open. I'm like, you got radiation in your throat.
You know what I like about that scene?
She did a lot of wide open mouth acting. I will say that.
That scene really leveled the playing field for Crystal Skull. You know what I mean? Like the whole test site scene with Indiana Jones.
Are you trying to tell me that I should give Crystal Skull a break because I can buy into this? No.
Yeah, because Billy Bobby Brown's
if Crystal Skull comes at me with amazing looking giant monsters, absolutely.
It came 100%. At you with cheap looking digital monkeys, wasn't that enough?
It had ants.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why Crystal Skull doesn't work for me when this does.
Yeah.
Because the 3 previous movies they were a certain thing, and then that tried to do it and fucked it all up. This movie just feels like another one of these movies.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's right in line with what it should be. Crystal Skull was like, what?
I would relitigate. I would relitigate Temple of Doom and Crystal Skull as being equals, in my opinion, for the most part.
No,
except for the musical numbers.
Temple of Doom is a masterpiece.
Temple of Doom,
great.
Now, Freddie, you and me, it's my least favorite of the good ones.
Yeah.
But I think I still like it a lot better than Crystal Skull.
Okay.
Only because in the court of movies, though, this would be a precedent that would be cited for future radiation interactions, human radiation interactions.
So it's Kong v Crystal Skull.
It's
in the court of law.
Godzilla, King of the Monsters, 2019.
I want to see Godzilla. I want to see Godzilla on the stand in a suit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
in the court sketchers, like drawing him,
burping like that Robert Durst.
Yeah, I'm killed them all.
So it prompted radiation, and all the talk of radiation prompted Andy to be like, "What is radiation?" And I'm like,
I don't understand. Here's the thing, I didn't know how to explain it either. I don't understand radiation. Is it just heat?
No.
How do you make it? Where does it come from?
Anything that emits energy.
Yeah.
So it could be light, heat. But wait, Andy, we learned, listener, did you know, according to the Wikipedia article, that bananas are radioactive? They just aren't radioactive enough to hurt you.
Yeah, they're not
technically deadly. Everything is radioactive to an extent. You're radioactive, I'm radioactive. Like you said, anything that gives off energy, I think, has a level of radioactivity.
Mm.
Maybe Kelley, in Crystal Skull's defense, like Freddie said that.
I didn't mean to reopen.
I know. I'm going to go on. I'm going to keep going on. I'm going to retry this case.
This is your last appeal.
It's new evidence that they didn't present in the previous case.
Bringing that new evidence into. Okay.
Freddie said this movie had no personality, and in Crystal Skull's defense, I feel they had personality. And the only time this movie. Godzilla, King of the Monsters has personality was at the very end when it showed all the news clippings of their aftermath of the monsters, and it said Titan waste might be useful for humans as an energy source, and showing all the news clippings of that, like along those lines. I feel that was I feel that was the only time this movie showed some joy and fun.
Oh
aside from the monster smashing.
I get you. And really,
I wanted more of that.
I did too, actually. I love that. I mean, one of the cool things is that after the Titans leave and they, the stuff that they brings a lot of life with them and growth and stuff. So it's corny, but it's supposed to be. Now, my beef with Crystal Skull is actually a lot more than just the radiation in the refrigerator. It's every single scene. I could have rolled with that if after that it was an Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah.
but it wasn't
fair,
ever.
I've only ever seen Crystal Skull once, and I could be completely wrong about how I feel about it. I could watch it now and think it's complete garbage. I'm that kind of person where like this movie, I was like, dude, King of the Monsters, I remember loving this. I think I remember loving Mystics in Bali. I didn't.
That was the movie from the Origins, Patreon.com.
But I do, on the one thing I love your enthusiasm for it, pluses it in so many ways, but I also think you, Kelley, deserve a better Godzilla movie than this. And I think that
I got one. Kong versus Godzilla is a better one.
Kong versus Godzilla is a better one. And I think
I'm excited for that. I haven't seen it yet. I want more of the underground, the Hollow Earth, like the lore.
Very cool.
But this is, I mean, to me, this was basically exactly what it was. Way better than I expected. I liked it way better than I expected. No, I expected to like it a lot. I love this movie. I love it. And that's just, I love it with no, like, I get the people are dumb, but I don't care about that. I'd watch 5 hours of Vera Farmiga doing PowerPoint presentations just to get 20 minutes of Godzilla fighting King Ghidorah with Rodan and all of them flying around. I'd watch 5 hours of people.
I'm that way
but
with
man, every time there's a people scene, it just deflates. The movie like collapses in on itself, and then you're like, all right. It's back.
Yes.
And then you're happy.
Oh yes.
Okay, I would have been okay if everybody was on the same page as Bradley Whitford, but everybody else was.
I didn't need that family drama. I thought that was.
They're all grinning ghosts.
Yeah,
I mean,
they were all like grief level was like 10, and everybody was chewing the grief scenery.
Yeah.
Like you can't.
Well, I love Serizawa. Very classic Godzilla character.
I'm like, stick with these scientist types, and I understand Vera Farmiga is some sort of scientist, and Kyle Chandler, maybe him too. I really don't know because I don't feel like they tell you really well.
No.
I keep with the science. This is a movie that is about an emergency situation happening at every moment. You are doing a disservice to people in grief, a disservice to anyone who has felt a human emotion, to try to shoehorn that in to something that is moving so fast.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, they're just
it
didn't need to be, but it is traditional. It's tradition.
Yeah. No, I get it. They do that in every fucking action, end of the world disaster movie, and I love them. And I do love this movie because I think the fights are good. It's just
they should have had an elderly couple
I hate it.
hold hands right before they got stepped on.
Yeah.
Like,
I would love that.
They look at each other and like, we've got exactly 10 seconds before this foot comes down and we're not getting out from under it. Kiss me, darling.
But I understand all of your gripes. And I agree with a lot of them, but it doesn't change how I feel about them.
Yeah, there are things.
Nor should it.
When you love something as deeply as you love Godzilla, as long as they're serving what you love about it, it's A+, fine by me. Do it, keep doing it. And I get it. Because I defend dumb shit. That second X-Files movie. Mm-hmm. Like I will defend dumb shit because it means something to me.
Yeah.
In this movie,
and that's,
it's not dumb shit, but it's not as good. And which breaks my heart.
It's dumb shit.
Michael Dougherty I love him. I love his work. And I thought this was not great.
Hey, I'm a defender of Superman Returns, which was
and to be fair,
much reviled. It's also him.
And he didn't get called back. Adam Wingard is, I guess, he directed Kong vs. Godzilla and is supposedly directing the sequel, the last one. So, but I love them combining the monster verses and so yeah, I get everyone's gripe with this except Godzilla people who claim to love Godzilla. But I get
Godzilla girls.
But I get everyone else's gripe and even people who like casually like Godzilla. You know what I mean? Like you guys, I get it like almost fucking it up for you. And I agree the people are so stupid, but they always are for me.
Well, people
so
are stupid.
I always have to suffer through that to get to the good stuff.
The big stuff.
Let's do a bonus on the Matthew Broderick Godzilla.
What's funny is that's a terrible Godzilla movie, really bad. But I do have a weird soft spot for it because like it was at the time I didn't think we were going to get another sort of like big budget Godzilla movie like that. And then I was like, oh,
I don't have a strong memory of it.
I don't remember
So
it.
that's kind of why I would like to revisit it just to see, being fresh off of these Godzilla movies, just to see what they were trying to do with it in perspective, you know?
Yeah, well, I will tell you, it's a lot more people.
Yeah.
And a lot less. There's actually maybe more Godzilla specifically in that movie because he's the only one. But and then there's the baby Godzillas too.
The Chihuahua from Taco Bell.
What that fucking Chihuahua, that Taco Bell Chihuahua,
lizard
is so completely intertwined.
They gave us
with that movie.
Yeah,
it did. But it's not good. It's like a weird comedy with a weirdly designed Godzilla that eats fish and isn't that powerful and can be killed. I don't like it. But I did like it. And I've seen it a lot of times. I remember I could probably quote quite a bit of the dialogue even from that. I've seen it a lot of times.
Long enough that like there's something about patina like on these movies as they age. The things that are very specifically of whatever era they were made in sometimes change the way I feel about them. That's like what I was saying about Crystal Skull.
Because nostalgia kicks in.
Right. Like, it's not always nostalgia. Sometimes it's just that otherworldly feeling that this isn't how we see the world anymore. So, like, it's not even always nostalgia in that I get a pang of longing for that period, because sometimes I'm watching movies from, like, the early 2000s, and I didn't like that period. For me, I have no warm feelings about it, really, specifically. So, like, to me, watching those, though, it still makes me feel weird that people are doing very early 2000s things and wearing early 2000s clothes. And we were concerned with different things politically and environmentally. So different things are fed into the B-lines, and depending on when a movie's made, like whatever the creator's political concerns that they try to hide in the screenplay, you know? Like, I love that, like, you know, the ozone layer. We just watched something where the ozone layer kept coming up. Was like the running thing. About
ozone layer's back, baby. We healed that bitch.
But that was like the end of the world at the time that movie was made. Like, we were right on the verge of punching a hole through and all dying because of it. You know?
See, we can come together and fix things.
So it's just funny perspective and how we're manipulated by what we watch. And I love that frame of reference. That's why I love watching old movies.
Yeah. And if you want to call back from this movie to that movie, and I'm not trying to be mean to her, maybe she was directed to do this, but the actor who played the main kind of, aside from Matthew Broderick, your lady lead, she had the worst dirt face acting. And maybe they told her to look like that, but like it was, you guys can see me, and I'm going to make she had this.
He's making like I'm confused that
always. And like the tilted head, I'm sure someone told her to look like that.
Maria Patillo.
Never heard of her.
She also, much like Millie Bobby Brown, did a lot of open mouth derp acting, and probably Millie Bobby Brown was told to do that too.
I mean, what she was given was just obnoxious to be an teen, and I don't know. The movie didn't have enough time to do what it wanted to do. And it was too long.
A lot of her story revolved around PA systems. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was like
Freddie was so mad that she was able to just hook up that Orca.
I wasn't mad.
To the
I was just saying,
announcing booth at Fenway.
I was just pointing out
because apparently they had the right cord there.
From an audio,
and she would know. Yeah. She would know which inputs that would go into the right. She'd know exactly which ones and how to turn on the PA at Fenway.
You read that as mad, but really it wasn't that. It's this fascination with why. It's more like why did the writers feel?
Freddie, I know you have this like. You want to put like a positive spin on everything, but I don't think
mad.
You did not have a good time with this movie.
Oh no, I didn't say that either. What I'm saying is I'm confounded by a writer saying she's going to overhear the plot on the PA. We're not going to set up how that happened. It's just going to happen.
I mean,
it's going to be unclear as to whether the bad guy is doing this to the whole ship.
Yeah.
You know,
it didn't help that we had to watch it with commercials, and you were getting so. You were getting so mad at watching all those diabetes.
Oh, you had to watch it with commercials?
Yeah.
Yes.
Where'd you watch it?
Because we couldn't find it on HBO Max, so we had to watch on Hulu.
Oh, I tried to watch it on Hulu and it just said add to list. I couldn't even watch it. But I bought it because I'll watch this movie 1,000 times. So,
but combined with like the movie and all the ads, Freddie was not having a good time.
No, because like what would happen is every time the movie was
a whiny baby,
the movie would start to ramp up to something fun. They would dump those a 3-minute commercial break in there. I'm like, and it happened. Oh my God, I don't know. What did we watch? 45 minutes of commercials, I think.
Sorry.
It's not your fault.
Well, that's right. That's your time, right? You talked about this before. Like commercials are taking your time.
Right. And now I'm just
your
at a
precious
point
life force.
where I'm not making money like I used to, so I have to have ads if I want to see some things, Yeah. So so I just have to learn to live with it. And Millie Bobby Brown can hack any PA system.
Well, I think they're just trying to give you these because the people don't. This is the conundrum of Godzilla and every Godzilla movie. Nobody wants to see the people, but some executive or someone somewhere is like, well, you can't just have a movie with monsters. They have to be chasing people. And if you're chasing people, people want people in movies. And I would argue that is almost always true. But like, I don't know how you do. I don't know. Kong Skull Island, that's how you do it.
Yeah,
that was actually, and again, it is the best of the bunch.
I can fix Godzilla versus Kong for you.
Godzilla versus Kong doesn't need fixed for me.
I mean, King of Monsters. King of the Monsters. You have Charles Dance and Vera Farmiga are members of a Godzilla worshipping cult, or even they could be worshiping another one of the monsters. Doesn't matter.
All right.
They're one faction. It makes a lot more sense. It's not a magic box, not a scientific box. It could even be an artifact or something. It could have been anything that would have fit better tonally into the movie. And you could still have the estranged dad. It makes even more sense for him to be super estranged because she's some weird religious fanatic. And it's not a secret. Yeah. Because a bunch of people
I agree.
a bunch of people probably are worshiping, think
You're right.
about it.
That would be, I agree with you. That would make it a lot. It would have been better. I had a very similar thought.
Yeah.
So I agree with that 100%.
It's just a little change.
That would just a little change.
Difference.
A little. That seems like that's a pretty big change.
Well, you swap out military uniforms for robes.
You still have the military. You can't have a Godzilla movie without the military. But yeah, you have your robe.
A heavily funded cult. They could be a cult.
I was going to say a globally funded underground cult. Funded by eco-terrorism.
Like the Holy Crusades. Like the Holy Crusades were a religious movement. Like it makes sense if we're returning to
I think Freddy's blood
old gods that we return to old ways of worshiping those gods and go to war. And that's a much more interesting thing for these human characters to be doing than just running from point A to point B with gadgets that are never fully fleshed out. I love Godzilla. I want cultists.
All right. I think that this movie was a definite, that's not as good. But it gave you some incredible fights. It gave you a lot of lore, a lot of mythology from the Godzilla movie verse that had come before it.
Think of the way it would have been with Kong.
And building on its new world building. I'll let you go in just a second.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to say that Kong Skull Island is my favorite because Godzilla is not in it.
Right.
But it for sure is the best.
Right.
But I love this one so much.
Well, as a movie,
all the monsters.
like regardless of who the characters are, as a movie, it's just better.
Oh, it's better for sure. I mean, it's just a better movie overall.
Yeah.
In every way.
Had more variety in the monster fights. So that's
that is, I will say, the creature design, like as much as I got mad at people for bitching about the creature design in Kong Skull Island, I will say it was better in this because they're working from, but they already have creatures to work from and just make look better. I think a lot of this was by committee. I don't know how much Mike Doherty had I feel like a lot of people came in and were like, you know what you should have them do?
Feels like
I'm going to go to Fenway Park in Boston. I got somebody at Fenway. We can get a license deal. They're going to give us money if we do it at Fenway.
Their PA's easily hacked.
So I feel like there were a lot of hands in this, and it was better than I expected it to be.
Yeah.
She didn't hack anything. She plugged cables in.
Well, that's what I meant.
All right. So next week,
that's all she did.
So next week we're gonna do.
We're gonna close out with Kong versus Godzilla, or Godzilla versus Kong.
And I'm very excited.
Amy has not.
I mean, there's still a lot of Vera Farmiga and Coach Taylor in it.
Well, that's okay.
Is she really? I totally forgot that she was in.
I love
she
Vera
died,
Farmiga.
did she?
No, she's still alive. No, she was still alive at the end.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't remember to the level to which she's involved, but
that's how memorable these human characters are.
Let me make it clear before anybody writes me a letter. I love Vera Farmiga. This character was a Debbie Downer, and it didn't work for me. So that's
she did the best she could.
Yeah,
Millie Bobby Brown
I like her face.
Is in Godzilla versus Kong.
All right, cool. All right, so that will be next week, and I will review that movie from earlier that I don't remember the name of.
Woohoo!
Yay!
Good job, everybody. Thanks for going on this journey with me and indulging me. I know you probably are a little afraid to badmouth this more because you don't want to hurt my feelings, and that's good. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Vera
because I love you.
Farmiga's not in Kong, but
Thank God.
Kyle Chandler.
Maybe she did die.
Good.
And I don't remember.
That's right.
Did she die?
She led the thing away with the orca.
Yeah, she got tossed in the car.
Oh, she definitely.
Her last
died.
words.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though she she looked pretty good at the end for some chick who got tossed like 1,000 feet in the air.
But then she also got blown up because of the big explosion.
Well, speaking of who looks pretty good for being a chick that got
blowed up,
is this list of Beelzebubs.
You bunch of chicks got blowed up.
You look good for a bunch of chicks that got blowed up. And you are, reminder, patreon.com/NOTLP. If you would like to become a patron, you could be a Beelzebub. Then at the end of every show, we will say your name. Alise.
Nom, 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 nom.
Alyssa. Branan and Emily. Jeffel.
What?
Dustin?
Yes.
Dustin.
An ace.
Ace
pitches in a few shekels.
Iona Goodwin.
Oh, a great one.
Aye.
Dr. Brian.
If you have the means.
Bill's a Poppin'. Are we going with that? I need to talk to him. Double check on that. Make sure that's...
Bill's a Poppin'. That's a Satchmo.
Bill Farner. Frosted Blakes.
I was thinking about how much I liked Bill Farner the other day. He's a good guy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Blayne Yogurt. Jordache Jeans.
Boom.
Paul. Jeremy and Cassie. Gamora. Ernie. Dave Siebert. And Monica.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
Woo!
You truly made our lives better.
You guys are the kings, the true kings of the monsters.
That's right.
That's who you are, listener.
So fight for me.
Yeah.
Fight for my pleasure.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Was wondering if he should go to bed when his old buddy Leatherface put on Dawn of the Dead, and Igor made the nachos in a severed human head, and they'd enjoy the movie with their friends. David Kessler walks the streets of London on four legs, while high above him Ellen Ripley finds some funny eggs, and Freddie laughs at Nancy in her nightmares as she begs to have just one more moment with her friends. In a world where evil isn't always just pretend, and it seems as though the darkness never ends, give me lots of popcorn and some time that I can spend to watch some monster movies with my